We now have yet another ironclad example of what the left has done to this country, what the left has done to millions of people, what the left has done to otherwise normal people for the most part. We now have a professional sports league. I've got to say, I never thought I would be talking about this in the monologue, but I am, because there's a point to all of this. We now have a professional sports league that was created specifically for women, that might start to include men in their league. Think about that. There is a men's league. It's called the NBA, which stands for National Basketball Association. It's been around for 80 years. And there is a women's league called the WNBA that's been around for 30 years. The W stands for women, as in Women's National Basketball Association. It's not the TWNBA, like the Trans Woman NBA. It's not the Trans Man NBA. It's not the guy who dresses like a woman but is really a man NBA. It's the WNBA, because the league was founded for women. Real, actual women. Biological women. But the women who coach in this league, and many of the women who play in this league, don't seem to understand that. Here is the coach of the Indiana Fever.
What is your stance on men or athletes who tested biological male participating in women's sports? What's your personal stance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would say that I'm educated enough from a scientific standpoint. I don't ever believe that exclusion is an answer. You know, when we think about various levels of sport, various governing bodies of sport and things that go into that, like I said, I'm not educated enough at the different levels.
Okay, ma'am, what are you educated in? You're not educated enough from a scientific standpoint to answer that question? Neither am I, but I know the difference. Everybody watching right now knows the difference, but that was her response to a really simple question. Ma'am, the average height of a man in the NBA is almost 6'7". The average height of a woman in the WNBA is 5'11". I'm no scientist like Dr. Fauci, but that's an 8-inch difference. You ever stood next to someone as an adult who's 8 inches shorter than you? My daughter is about 8 inches shorter than I am, and I can tell you, when we play basketball in the driveway, which we were doing yesterday, pig and horse, I have an advantage. But that is what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have done to this country. That's what they have done to people in this country. Zero common sense exists anymore on the left. The left has lost their ability to think critically about anything. Did you know the fastest woman to run the 100-meter dash in history was Florence Griffith Joyner, and she set the world record in 1988 at 10.49 seconds, which is really fast, faster than I could do it. But did you know that this year alone, more than 1,000 high school boys beat that record? They're in high school, and they beat the record because men are faster and stronger and bigger. You might remember this woman, Megan Rapinoe, the U.S. soccer player who wouldn't stand during the national anthem. Well, did you know that a high school boys team 15 and under beat the U.S. national team, women's, 5-2 in a game? 14 and 15-year-old boys beat a team that would go on to the Olympics. And did you know that Leah Thomas, this guy right here, was at one point the 462nd ranked male swimmer in the country in college when he swam on the men's team at UPenn. But just 2 years later, he won a NCAA national championship when he decided that he was a girl. Think about that. Oh, but this is all okay because at that point, Leah was happy.
There are some who look at the data and suggest that you're enjoying a competitive advantage. What do you say to that?
There's a lot of factors that go into a race and how well you do. And the biggest change for me is that I'm happy.
Great, Leah. Will, nobody cares. So the implication is because you're happy, we're just required to sit back and accept it? I don't think so. That is a 6'4" man with male parts who decided one day that he was going to put on a one-piece. And suddenly he's the best female swimmer in the country. That's what you want me to believe? I don't think so. You might remember this guy, Imam Khalif. This is a male boxer who competed in the 2024 Summer Olympics, who won a medal by beating up women. Not just one woman, multiple women. In a normal world, that would get you arrested. But when Joe Biden was president, we gave these people gold medals. Imam Khalif won a gold medal at the Paris Olympics, and we were told to just sit back and accept it. This is the new normal, they told us. Men compete with women and men beat up women. That's normal. And in the WNBA, this type of thinking is like a religion. Here's another one of the coaches.
Big news stories has been Sophie Cunningham and the protests for her and protests against her. And, they had a national televised game today and Cheryl, wore a shirt and it's just a conversation. I'm wondering just, what do you think about it?
Sports is about belonging. It's about inclusivity. It's about allowing everyone to be their authentic self. I'm all about women, little girls deserving to play, and that includes trans women.
That's actually not what sports is about at any level. Sports is about competition, and sports is about winning, especially professional sports, and she coaches a team in a professional sports league. It's not about inclusion, it's actually about exclusion. The best of the best competing at the highest level, which is why I'm not an NFL quarterback. It's why I'm not pitching for the Red Sox tonight. I don't have the talent, I didn't have a fastball, I'm not tall enough. And trans women are not real women. They're men. But none of these women are willing to admit that under no circumstances should men be allowed to compete in the WNBA, which really should not be that difficult to admit. It shouldn't even be political. I don't even know why this is political. It's because Donald Trump's in the White House. It is a biological reality. Here is the #1 tennis player in the world. This is a woman who makes it look so easy.
The WTA recently announced that, the players will take a one-time gender test. How do you feel about that? First pro league to go in that direction.
I think it's really important to keep the fairness in our tour, and it's obvious that biologically, right, the men are way stronger than women, so I feel like it would be not really fair for the woman to compete against biological men.
Yes, bigger, stronger, faster. It's just reality. Was that so hard? That's Aryna Sabalenka, the #1 tennis player in the world right now, and what she just said should not be controversial. It's biology. And don't you think it's interesting that Aryna Sabalenka is from Russia, where woke does not exist under Vladimir Putin? Now compare that to what an American tennis player said when she was asked the same question.
Hi, Coco. The WTA recently said it's going to give gender tests to the players on tour. What's your impression of that? What do you feel about it?
I understand the reasoning behind it. I do think that this kind of conversation has created a lot of animosity towards the trans community. Yes, I guess kind of agree with trying to protect the fairness in women's sports, but I also do not like the attack that it is creating people who don't really care but just want to use this as a reason to attack the trans community.
Notice the difference? I'm definitely pro-America. But do you see the difference between how the Russian commented on that and how the American did? American women, real biological women, are so afraid of offending somebody like Leah Thomas. They're so afraid of offending the trans community, which is the most catered to, outspoken, super minority in world history. And I've got a message for you. I don't care if you're offended. I don't care if you're offended, because you have no right to hurt women or beat up women and get a gold medal for it. Are you serious? Here's Caitlin Clark. This is the biggest star in the WNBA, and she is completely petrified and mortified that she might offend somebody who might be trans.
I think for us, it's not really a discussion we really have in our locker room. I think it's for leagues and the governing bodies to work with their athletes to find solutions, but our focus is on basketball, and that's what we talk about and how we can get wins, and obviously we didn't do that tonight, so need to find an area to improve in that way.
Does you have any, reaction to the...
I'm just answering for you.
Again, Caitlin Clark, zero common sense. What a coward. Everyone pretends this woman's a hero. Not yet. She's good at basketball. Kathy Engelbert is the commissioner of the WNBA. She put out a statement over the weekend because the league apparently is going to meet this week to try and figure out what a woman is. Quote, "We recognize that this is a complex and nuanced topic." No, it's not. "We will continue to have important conversations with all of you in the Players Association. We also plan to convene additional discussions and offer listening sessions for any team leaders who would like to take part," end quote. Listening sessions. What's a listening session?
This commissioner is
Kathy,
a
here's some feedback. I
coward.
hope you're listening. And it's very
She's a coward.
simple. Men should not be playing in the WNBA.
Hello.
And men should not be playing in women's sports.
Word.
The WNBA is already a total joke. And I don't say that to be mean. I say it because it's true. The league is losing $40 million a year, every year except for this year. But nobody says anything about it because it's a women's league that's apparently now trying to let men play in their women's league. Men like former NBA star Enes Kanter Freedom, who is 6'10" and played for 11 years in the NBA.
After careful consideration and reviewing the current eligibility guidelines, I am officially declaring myself a WNBA prospect. My team and I have carefully examined the WNBA eligibility criteria and governing framework surrounding self-identification and inclusion. Based on the current guidelines, I can and am officially declaring my eligibility for the upcoming WNBA draft in May 2027. I am definitely not here to mock, make fun of, or disrespect any community or personal choices.
He actually did. You might think this is a joke. This is not a joke. This is where we are as a country tonight. And this is what the left has done to this country. A professional sports league that's stuck between the truth and letting men play professional basketball with women. But they can't let that happen, can they? They'll look even more ridiculous than they already do. But they can't admit that Donald Trump was right, now can they either? That men should not be playing in women's sports anywhere. Meaning the WNBA is stuck, meaning they might just sign a guy to play in the league to prove a point that they'll never prove. And they look ridiculous. When we come back, did you see this, the other part of this story? Take a look, there it is right there. Why do black players in the WNBA seemingly hate white players? Sage Steele will join us with this saga that will not end. Plus, this is the leading Democrat candidate for governor.